The hotel manager asked me a question I'll never forget. Are you absolutely certain you opened the wrong room and not the right one? At the time, I thought he was joking. Now I know he wasn't. My name is Mark. 12 years ago, I was 28 and traveling alone for work. After a delayed flight and a 2-hour drive through heavy rain, I arrived at a small business hotel just outside Manchester a few minutes before midnight. The receptionist looked exhausted. She apologized for the delay, handed me a key card, and said, "Room 417. Lift to your left." I barely acknowledged her. I hadn't slept in almost 24 hours. The fourth-floor corridor was empty. The only sound was the low hum of the air conditioning. I stopped outside room 417. The card reader flashed red. Before I could try again, I heard the latch click. The door opened a few inches by itself. For a second, I assumed someone from housekeeping had heard me. I pushed the door open. The lights were already on. A half-packed suitcase sat on the luggage rack. A laptop was open on the desk. A passport lay beside it. A phone was charging near the bed. Then a calm male voice drifted from the bathroom. "I'll be out in a second." There wasn't the slightest hint of surprise in his voice. He sounded as though he had been expecting someone else. Every instinct told me I didn't belong there. Without making a sound, I eased the door shut and walked quickly back to the lift. Only when the doors closed did I realize how hard my heart was pounding. Back downstairs, I explained what had happened. "I'm really sorry," I said. "Someone's already staying in my room." The receptionist frowned at her monitor. "No, sir. Room 417 is vacant. I've just come from inside it." She checked again. Her face suddenly went pale. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I gave you 471, not 417. She quickly reprogrammed my key card and apologized several times. It seemed like an ordinary mistake. I laughed it off. I wish I hadn't. Around 2 o'clock that morning, the telephone beside my bed rang. I answered immediately. No one spoke. Only slow, steady breathing. Then the line went dead. I phoned reception. The night receptionist checked the switchboard. "No calls were made to your room, sir." I assumed the system had malfunctioned. I forced myself back to sleep. The next morning, curiosity got the better of me. As I passed room 417 on my way downstairs, the door was standing open. A housekeeper was changing the bed sheets. The room was completely empty. The cleaner smiled politely. "This room hasn't been occupied all week." I stared at her. "I was inside it last night." She simply shook her head. I left for my meeting convinced the hotel had made another mistake. By late afternoon, I returned to collect my luggage. 2 police cars were parked outside. Detectives were speaking quietly with the hotel manager while several guests watched from the lobby. When the manager saw me, his expression changed. "You haven't checked out yet?" "No." He asked for my room number. Then he asked the question that still haunts me. "Did you enter any other room last night?" I explained everything. He exchanged a look with one of the detectives. They immediately escorted me into a private office. One detective placed electronic lock records on the table. Every hotel door recorded every successful entry. According to the system, my key card had opened room 471 exactly once. It had never opened room 417, not even for a second. I insisted the records were wrong. The detective nodded. "We thought you might say that." He turned his monitor toward me. The hotel corridor appeared on the screen. There I was, walking confidently toward room 417. I held my card against the reader. The light flashed red. The lock never disengaged. The detective paused the footage. "Watch the door." He replayed it frame by frame. This time I noticed something I had completely missed. The handle moved. Before I reached it, someone inside had already been watching through the peephole. The door opened only a few inches, just enough to invite in the person they were expecting. Except that person wasn't me. I walked straight inside. The detective leaned back. They realized their mistake almost immediately. Police searched the room only hours later. It was spotless. Whoever had been inside packed everything and disappeared before sunrise. The investigation uncovered an organized identity theft operation targeting business travelers. They used cloned hotel key cards to enter rooms while guests were away, photographing passports, copying confidential documents, stealing banking details and company information before anyone noticed. Your arrival interrupted them. But why didn't they stop me? I asked. The detective didn't answer immediately. Finally, he slid a clear evidence bag across the table. Inside was a plain white hotel key card. Printed on the front was my room number, 471. The hotel logo looked genuine. Only it wasn't. It never came from this hotel, he said quietly. They made it themselves. They had already prepared a copy of my room key before I even arrived. I suddenly remembered the phone call, the breathing. The detective looked at me. We believe that wasn't random. They wanted to know whether you were asleep before entering your room. Months later, police arrested several members of the group in another city. They recovered stolen identities, forged passports, and thousands of confidential documents. But one man was never identified. The man in the bathroom. No fingerprints. No CCTV showing his face. No real name. Witnesses only remembered one habit. He always booked the room directly opposite the people he intended to watch. Years passed. I almost forgot about it. Until another business trip. Another hotel. Another late-night arrival. As I unlocked my room, I glanced across the corridor. A "Do Not Disturb" sign hung from the door opposite. Something about it felt familiar. The next morning, that room had already been checked out. The receptionist couldn't tell me who had stayed there. The booking had been made using identification that later turned out to be fake. Now, every time I travel, I check every peephole before unlocking my door. Because sometimes the most dangerous room isn't the one you accidentally walk into. It's the one that's been quietly watching yours from across the corridor all along.